My Weird School, Fast Facts. Sports. Written by Dan Gutman. Pictures by Jim Pelot. Chapter 2. Football. Footballs are called pigskins. Nobody knows why, because footballs are actually made out of cow skin. Do you think the pigs are jealous of the cows? If I was a pig and somebody told me that footballs were made from cows, I would be relieved. On the other hand, I probably wouldn't react at all because I would be a pig. As far as I know, pigs and cows don't understand English. By the way, do you know how many cows it takes to make a season's worth of NFL footballs? 600. That's a lot of cows. If you took 600 cows and you put them on a football field at the same time, well, it would really stink up the place, and nobody would want to play football there. That's a fact. Somebody figured out that a cow has a 1 in 17,420,000 chance of being made into a football that gets used in the Super Bowl. Man, the guy who figured that out has too much time on his hands. Something tells me that cows don't want to win that lottery. Do you know why football players go into a huddle before each play? No, it's not to keep warm. It was started back in 1892 with a quarterback for Gallaudet University named Paul Hubbard. Hubbard was legally deaf, so he gathered the rest of the team around him so he could hear them without the other team listening in. The average NFL game takes around 3 hours to play. Do you know how much of that time the ball is actually in play? 11 minutes. The rest of the time, the players stand around, huddling, spitting, and scratching themselves. As of the 2013 season, the average salary paid to an NFL player is about $2 million a year. $2 million! Do you know how much NFL cheerleaders get paid? $70 to $90 per game. That is totally not fair. What does guacamole have to do with football? A lot, because 8 million pounds of the stuff get eaten on Super Bowl Sunday. Not only that, but we also eat 4 million pounds of pretzels and 11 million pounds of chips. And that's just in my Uncle Milton's house. Do you know why the Baltimore Ravens are called the Ravens? Edgar Allan Poe lived in Baltimore, and he wrote a famous poem called The Raven. Not only that, but the team's mascots are named Edgar, Allan, and Poe. The biggest players on the field are nose tackles. Why would anybody want to tackle a nose? But anyway, those guys weigh about 322 pounds. Wow! Do you know who was the smallest player in NFL history? His name was Jack Soapy Shapiro, and he played for the Staten Island Stapletons, the Stapes, in 1929. Soapy was just 5 feet, 1 inch tall, and he weighed only 119 pounds. What a shrimp! In 1970, Tom Dempsey of the New Orleans Saints kicked an amazing 63-yard field goal. But the length was not the amazing part. The amazing part was that Dempsey was born with just half a foot. That's not a joke. Go ahead and look it up if you don't believe me. You know how everybody runs to the bathroom as soon as halftime comes? Well, during halftime at the Super Bowl, 90 million toilets get flushed in homes across America. Gross. Of course, it would be a lot grosser if 90 million toilets didn't get flushed. The Nerf football was invented in 1972 by Fred Cox, who was a kicker for the Minnesota Vikings. College football players didn't have to wear helmets until 1939, and NFL players didn't have to wear them until 1943. Before that, football players wore fuzzy bunny ears on their heads. Okay, I totally just made up that second part. The waiting list to buy season tickets for the Green Bay Packers has 86,000 names on it. So if you put your name on that list today, you'd have to wait almost 1,000 years to get your tickets and see a game. About 17 million people watch each NFL football game on TV. Do you know how many people watched the first televised game in their homes in 1939? 500! There weren't nearly as many toilets flushing at halftime in those days. During World War II, a lot of professional players served in the military, so there was a shortage of players. In 1943, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles combined to form the Steagles. In 1944, Pittsburgh teamed up with the Chicago Cardinals, and they were known as Card Pitt. But when Card Pitt didn't win a single game in the regular season, journalists instead called them the Carpets or Carpets. In 1993, Minnesota Vikings quarterback Brad Johnson threw a touchdown pass to himself. That's right. Johnson's pass was deflected up in the air. He caught it and ran it 3 yards for a touchdown. It was the only time that ever happened in NFL history. Most NFL football fields and outdoor stadiums face north-south rather than east-west. Why? Think about it. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. If the field faced east-west, the team facing the west would get blinded at sunset. Are you ready for this? Before each game, Hall of Famer Darryl Green of the Washington Redskins would stuff Tootsie Rolls into his socks. Why? Nobody knows. Green said they made him run faster. Man, what a waste of perfectly good Tootsie Rolls. Personally, I would have used Kit Kats. The Tootsie Rolls must have worked. Green won the NFL's fastest man competition 4 times. By the way, Marshawn Lynch of the Seattle Seahawks claimed that he used Skittles to turn him into beast mode. Football players are weird. You can't watch a full-length video of the first Super Bowl. Why not? Because the only videotapes they had from that game were erased. According to legend, a soap opera was recorded over Super Bowl I. Guess which member of the Supreme Court also played in the NFL? No, it wasn't Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It was Byron Whizzer White, who was a halfback for the Pittsburgh Pirates, now the Steelers, in 1938, and for the Detroit Lions from 1940 to 1941, and served on the court from 1962 to 1993. President Teddy Roosevelt played a role in football history. The game was really dangerous in those days, and 18 men died playing football in 1905 alone. Roosevelt was a big fan, and he held a meeting with college football officials to come up with ways to make the game safer. They changed the rules to make throwing the ball legal, so it's fair to say that football would not have passing if it wasn't for Teddy Roosevelt. The first forward pass was thrown in 1906 by Bradley Robinson of St. Louis University. It was dropped. The Dallas Cowboys haven't played in Dallas in more than 40 years. AT&T Stadium, where the team plays, is in Arlington, Texas. So na-na-na-boo-boo on Dallas. Was William Shakespeare a football fan? The first time football was mentioned in print was in Shakespeare's 1608 play, King Lear. Nor trapped neither, you base football player. I love Shakespeare, but I think he was talking about soccer.